All right. All right. So course submission. Carrying went over the staff demographic and staff assignment. And once those submissions are completed, you would move on to the course and then the course section. And so that's what you have imaged here. So the students that must be enrolled in course sections, those that you're submitting SCSE records for, are primarily enrolled students and possibly short-term enrolled students, enrollment status 10 and 30, depending on their enrollment status on census day. Now, in the middle, we have enrollment status 20. This will trigger a warning. So it's not strictly required, but of course, the only way to tell the CDE what curriculum a student is taking is to show the course enrollment for fall 2. Basically, you have a student enrolled with a secondary enrollment. I always like to say you have a 6th grader that's going to the middle school. We can see that in CALPADS, but we don't know why, right? And so that course record or that student course section enrollment record would tell us, oh, the student's enrolled in the 8th grade or 7th grade math course, although they're a 6th grade student. So if you have a student enrolled, they would like to know what courses they're taking, but only primary and short-term students will trigger a fatal error if they have no record. So there are 2 types of courses submitted for fall 2. There's self-contained, state course code 1000. Any multiple subject course is a self-contained course. And then departmentalized courses, single subject courses, often found between 7th and 12th grades, but not exclusive to 7th and 12th grades. So for instance, Tyron mentioned itinerant staff. Often we find itinerant staff teaching PE in elementary school. They pull the students out of their self-contained course, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, and they do PE. That PE teacher is certificated, is authorized to teach the physical education, and that itinerant staff member may not be on your master schedule. You report that teacher with that course, that PE course. That PE course that's matched to a state course code is an example of a departmentalized course at the elementary level, right? That would be the same for a music teacher, or someone who's teaching or providing EL services might do it in a pull in, push out environment. So there are situations where departmentalized courses are taught at elementary schools. Likewise, there are situations where self-contained courses are taught at the secondary level. And then you have courses reported. Okay, so we have the valid course combos here. I'm going to use these tabs at the bottom to go to the course group master combos tab. So all your courses are listed here in CALPADS. It's a quick reference. They don't have the definitions. But before you do anything, I think you should always make a practice of scrolling to the right. And you want to only select NA. These are your courses that don't have an end date. So these are all the courses that are available now. And so you can see at the top, self-contained class, state course code 1000, 7000 to 8000. The complete series of those courses are CTE. Faster if I do this. You see, these are all CTE course names: instruction of structural repair, intermediate systems diagnostics. Then you get to 9000. These are the rest of your academic content area courses. Visual art. You can see, scroll down, you see government, economics, sociology, right? So you see your different content, your other courses here. You have life skills, yearbook, humanities, so on and so forth. So this is a quick reference. It's easy just to click the filter and look for a name. So like if you had an intervention course, you can see that there's a state course code for that, or student assistant. There's a couple options for that. And if you wanted to know the difference between 9208, 9216, you would reference the code set. So this is a great resource. kind of lay it out on this slide, but using the valid code combos is a better definition or a better example. So we added new courses this year. They're the Cambridge courses. There's 5 or so districts in California have adopted the Cambridge course set. It seems to be growing, but right now most of the districts in California don't use Cambridge courses. So if this is nothing that concerns you, don't worry about it. But if you are a school district that uses Cambridge courses, you do have specific state course codes for those courses. So if you've previously been trying to map them the best you can, you don't have to do that anymore. And then the use of SEID 999, this is a generic SEID. Kyron kind of mentioned this already, but the generic SEID can only be used in the course section. You cannot report staff in the staff demographic or the staff assignment who do not have SEID numbers assigned by the CTC. What the generic SEID will allow for is when you have a teacher who does not have a SEID, you can report that course using the generic SEID. This shows the instruction to the students. That's the purpose of the generic SEID. By default, the generic SEID triggers a potential misassignment. The only exceptions to this are college courses. So either the college credit courses listed here. These are for your academic content areas, art, math, science, so forth. And then CTE courses that have non-instructional assignment code of 23 or 24 also assigned. Those are the only 2 instances in which the SEID, the use of the generic SEID, will not trigger a potential misassignment. Now, that's not to discourage you from using it. There are going to be times, often you find this with CTE courses. Students may be taking courses at Job Corps or somewhere, and that CTE instructor does not have a SEID. You're going to report that instruction still, and you're going to use the generic SEID. You're just going to have to resolve that potential misassignment later on in the CALASAAS process, not in CALPADS. And so this table was taken from Flash Message 218, and it pretty much tells you any use of the generic SEID is going to be a predetermined vacancy exception unless it's identified as a college credit course. So you want to make sure you appropriately report college credit courses. And if you use either a 23 or 24 non-standard instruction level code for a CTE course or the appropriate college course state course code, it's assumed that that staff member is employed under local assignment option 76004. So going back to the valid code combinations document, we're still in the course group master combos. If I were to look up college credit and click OK, I can see the list that's on the slide here and the description. So you can see it doesn't matter what math course they're taking, whether it's calculus, differential equations, or college level math, doesn't matter. It's going to be college credit mathematics, right? So they're just assigned to that entire subject area. So things to consider when picking the correct course. The number one thing to consider is it's not your job and you don't do it, right? You let subject matter experts doing it. If, you know, in reality, a lot of it does come to us and we have to make a decision, right? So things that should be considered. Determine the content of the course, right? You want to look at the state course code, read the code set definition, make sure you understand the content of the course. Each state course code has a defined content area, and those state course codes are used to match up the staff members' credentials. Which standards are used to develop the course? So are they current standards like Common Core? Are they old standards like No Child Left Behind? Does the course have no standard? Are you doing some high-powered hybrid option? Is it a fun course? Is it like music theory with instrumental and audio effects, T-Pain curriculum, and it has no standards? So you have to consider the standards. What are the grade levels? Again, students can be enrolled in a course that's above or below their grade level. And so there's a field that we have grade level standards, right? Elementary, middle school, and secondary, right? You want to consider the grade level standards as well. And if you have no content standards, you will have no grade level standards. They go hand in hand. And then do not choose your course code based on the credential or the student's grade levels, right? So think about the content and the standards, pick the course code. Don't try to identify or map the course based on what the teacher is authorized to teach, right? We're trying to identify those teachers that not appropriately assigned, not avoid that. And then identify the method of instruction if it's online, right? So you have, 3 different methods of online instruction: facilitated, learner-led, teacher-led. And then how are EL services reported? That's also something to consider, because the course section, although it's not intuitive, does report the EL services, right? You think that would be attached to the staff member because the staff member has the credential. But again, we're talking about services provided through instruction. Course records are the only method in which CALPADS can report, or you can report instruction to students in CALPADS. So there are 3 keys to English learner instruction. First thing, the student has to be an English learner, not an IFEP, not an RFEP, not a former EL, not a soon-to-be EL because we haven't tested them, TBD. All EL students on census day. So this number of students or this identification will very closely match fall 1. Second thing, those English learner students have to have student course section records reported. They have to be enrolled into a course, because again, those EL services that are provided to them from the teacher outside of the LET program are reported in the course section. So EL students have to have an SCSE record. And of course, to have an SCSE record, you have to have a course record. So those course records that are associated to your teachers by the use of their SEID have to exist. And in those course records, the education service code has to be populated. We'll talk more about this later, but that is the field. If you're trying to identify why a teacher is not providing service or what service they're providing, you have to look at their course records and then the education service code, if it's populated and what it's populated with. And then the student course section enrollment, the 4th file of Fall 2, is a very short file, and all you're doing is enrolling students using their SEED into courses. There's very little data in this file. It's just used for matching. The data is the SAS, this SDM, the course. That's all the information we need. Now we just need to associate the students to those teachers, to that curriculum, okay? And so the student course section enrollment record is generally the 4th file submitted after your courses. The information that's in there that's used to link your student enrollment record or course enrollment to the course is the course section ID. Think the local course ID, the academic term code, the school course delivery. Information that's provided in that record is the UC CSU admission requirement code, and that's generally it. The same file type is used in end of year and has more data, like the result, credits and grades and whatnot. But for Fall 2, we're just linking students to courses.